Good afternoon, all. I welcome you again in the afternoon session. And today we have with us Dr. Abdul Rauf Malik. Sir is a scientist and faculty of horticulture, SCOST Kashmir. Sir is going to deliberate on the topic of orchard floor management and forage production issues, concerns, and strategies. Sir, you have sir, your audio as well as your presentation is visible. If you choose to speak, so you can put your video as well on.
Okay. I have put my camera off and am I audible now?
Yes, you are.
Is my presentation okay? Visible properly?
Yes.
Okay. So shall I start?
Yes, please begin, sir.
Okay, thank you. Uh, Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Abdul Rauf Malik, presently working as a fruit scientist in Faculty of Horticulture, SCOST Kashmir. I have been asked to deliberate upon orchard floor management, forage production issues, concerns, and strategies. Orchard floor management can be considered as one of the most important aspects of fruit production systems, even though it's one of the most neglected part also. Uh, as we know that before industrialization, the orchard floor was managed differently by the growers, particularly in European countries. They used to grow many crops within that orchard floor, but after the industrialization, there was a shift towards monocropping, and people started concentrating upon more production of single crop, or those crops which had more higher commercial value, and those crops which had more of an industrial value. And with the result, what happened is that there uh, was a loss of diversity within this orchard floor. Now, diversity is one of the most important factors which determines the sustainability of any agricultural production system. As we say that diversity is one of the keys to the stability of any production system. So we have to again to concentrate upon diversifying our orchard floors. So with this background, I will be deliberating upon different orchard floor management practices which we can adapt, how in the world different management practices have impacted upon the soil health and the production of the main crop, and how we can go for forage production within this orchard floor. Before going into the details of the different research which has been carried out in different countries of the world, I would like to mention here some simple things what actually impacts the orchard floor management. As we know that orchard is any piece of land which has fruit trees planted in a regular manner. An orchard can be a commercial orchard, it can be a progeny orchard, it can be a home orchard, or it can be an experimental orchard. Commercial orchards can again be divided into low density orchards, medium density orchards, or high density orchards. Then the orchard floor management refers to the management of soil in successive years for sustainable economic returns. Now, why am I explaining it here is that orchard floor management will depend upon whether our orchard is going to be a commercial orchard, whether it's going to be a commercial but a low density orchard, a commercial but medium density orchard, commercial but high density orchard, or whether this orchard is a progeny orchard. Progeny orchards are those which are maintained by farmers as mother blocks, or whether this is a home orchard in the backyard of your home, or whether this is an experimental orchard. All these will decide what kind of orchard floor management practices we are going to use in our orchard. Now, there are many production systems which are prevalent in the world. And we have to remember that even two production systems, even two farms which are very near to each other, which are even adjacent to each other, cannot have an identical farming system. A farming system can again be divided into subsistence type of farming system, home gardening, semi-intensive mixed commercial, or a very intensive commercial. Here again, a production system, which kind of a farming system a farmer is going to adapt will depend upon many factors. Whether he is going to have a subsistence type of production system, whether he is going to have a semi-intensive mixed farming commercial system, or whether he is going to have a very intensive commercial farming system. This will depend upon many factors. To me, as per my experience in the field, one of the most important factors which determines the production system and the kind of orchard floor management practice a farmer is going to adapt, or the kind of crops a farmer is going to grow within this orchard floor or within an orchard. One of the most important factors to me is the attitude of the farmer. A farmer which has developed the kind of attitude he has developed throughout his life. When dealing with two farmers having identical land holdings, having identical inputs, having identical set of resources available, their attitude most of the times determines how they are going to, which kind of farming system they are going to adapt. Whether they will grow forage crops within this orchard floor, whether they will grow vegetable crops or any other crop. Another important thing which will determine the kind of farming system or a production system a farmer is going to adapt will depend upon the kind of subsidies which are providing him, which in most of the studies is a neglected factor. Most of the studies do not concentrate upon this. What kind of subsidies the farmer is getting? Is he getting a fertilizer subsidy? Is he getting a seed subsidy? Is he getting a subsidy on any other thing? Number one. Number two, what kind of market he is going to produce for? Is he producing a nearby market? Is he producing for a nearby market which is just 2 kilometers away? Is he producing for a market which is 20 kilometers away? Is he producing for a market which is 500 kilometers away? And the kind of attitude he has got for this marketing. All these things will decide upon what kind of crop he is going to have, what kind of production system on his land he is going to have. Now, should we keep our orchard floor bare, or should we have any kind of crop in this orchard, or should we have grasses or any other things? This again will depend upon mostly the attitude of the farmer, even though some of the farmers do like a neat and clean bare orchard floor, which actually has many disadvantages. One of the most important disadvantage of keeping an orchard floor bare is that it raises the soil temperature to about 4 degrees Fahrenheit. And with this rising temperature, there is a deleterious effect on the root development of fruit trees. Another important problem with keeping our orchard floor bare is if there are any pathologists or entomologists in this training program, they will easily understand that one of the most important problems with keeping our orchard floor bare is that it results in increasing the pathogen infestation. There are two reasons why there is an increase in pathogen infestation with a bare orchard floor. One of the reasons is there will be more temperature within the orchard ecosystem, which will be beneficial for the growth and development of those pathogens and insects and pests. Number two important thing will be, because of the bare orchard floor, we are actually destroying the habitat of beneficial insects or those which are natural enemies. So in that case, we are actually harming them by keeping our orchard floor bare, and at the same time there will be an increase in pathogen infestation. So there will be a delay in, as per one of the studies, if we keep our orchard floor bare, there will be delay in bud break in case of apple, or now no flower clusters will be there. Another important thing is there will be more water evaporation, which will lead to less moisture availability to trees. Now, important thing here is that even though bare orchard floor, there will be no competition for the main crop for moisture. There will be no competition for the main crop. But even though there will be no competition for the main crop for moisture, but there will be more losses, evaporation losses within this bare orchard floor. So important thing to consider. Another thing is that this bare orchard floor maximizes the chances of rodent infestation and thereby damaging the roots of fruit trees. Now, what are the benefits of orchard floor management? Now, depending upon whether our orchard is a normal density orchard, a high density orchard, or a super high density orchard, we have to decide about which kind of orchard floor management practice we will use. Say, for example, if there is an orchard which is having seedling origin trees in it. In that case, if there are seedling origin trees, we have to wait for the production and the benefits for around 8 years, maybe in some crops 10 years, maybe in some crops 15 years. And in that case, we have to use this wide spacing and exploit it by growing different intercrops or cover crops. I will be dealing in later slides. I will be showing how they impact the growth of the main crop also. Now, but at the same time, even though we choose any intercrop or cover crop for this, we have to maintain the soil fertility. And for that matter, we have to select those intercrops which enhance the soil fertility. Another important thing is that cover crops save the orchard soil from being eroded during the rainy season. This is particularly in case of our Himalayan conditions where there is higher slope in our orchards. The orchards are grown on slopy conditions, and because of that, there are many chances that the soil will get eroded if kept bare. So we have necessity to grow some kind of cover crops or grasses within these orchard floor. Water holding capacity of the soil is increased and biological complex of the soil is also improved. Cover crops prevent weed growth, protect the young plants from weed, and even from the cold injury. But one important thing we have to keep in mind that while growing the cover crop, there may be a reduction in the phosphorus and potassium levels within that orchard. So to cover up that, we have to continuously apply phosphorus and potassium contents to the soil to keep the soil fertile. Now, any kind of orchard floor management or any kind of crop, whatever kind of crop you will grow in an orchard floor, it will have to be considered in an integrated manner. Like what kind of soil management practice you are going to adapt for that orchard floor or for that forage crop or that fodder crop, whatever you are growing in the orchard floor. Then the irrigation management, what kind of irrigation management will be for that forage crop or for that intercrop, cover crop, and what kind of nutrient management practices you are going to utilize. And the weed management practices at the same time have to be considered. So all these things in an integrated manner will comprise of the orchard floor management practice. Now, before going for any orchard floor management practice, we have to understand what should be our objectives. One of the important objectives of orchard floor management is that it should aid in the growth of the main crop. Number one. Number two, it should not increase the incidence of diseases for the main crop. Even if it will not aid in the growth of main crop, it should not hamper the growth of the main crop. So this is one of the important objectives of orchard floor management. Now, second important is it should provide optimum moisture during the critical plant growth stages. We should not choose an intercrop or a cover crop which deprives the main plant of moisture availability, particularly during its critical growth stage. So we have to avoid that. So one of the important objectives of orchard floor management is to provide optimum soil moisture during critical growth stages of the plant. Then it should prevent, or if it doesn't reduce the soil erosion, at least it should prevent the soil erosion. It should increase or at least maintain the organic matter content in the soil. It should increase the nutrient stats of the soil. It should control the weeds in the orchard. It should improve the soil structure and loosen it for good aeration and water percolation. And one of the important objectives is that it should ensure additional income from the interspaces, particularly during pre-bearing age of an orchard, particularly those of which are seedling born orchards. It should enhance the biocontrol and improve the microbial activity within this orchard ecosystem. Now, what are the main functions of an orchard floor management and what are the factors which impact it? As I have already discussed about these things, water intake, storage, physical support, gas exchange, nutrient cycling, the microorganism habitat, and the microclimate within this orchard floor are basically impacted by what kind of understory species you are growing, what kind of canopy management for the main crop you are using, and what kind of canopy is there for this understory species, what is the irrigation system you are doing, what is the nutrient supply you are giving to the plant, whether it is organic, whether it is inorganic, are you supplying enough nutrients to both intercrop, to both cover crop and to the main plant, are you supplying organic inputs, are you supplying inorganic inputs? All these things will decide about the functions which an orchard floor management has to play. Now, what is the microclimate? I have discussed here that it should improve the microclimate.
ऑफिस परसों मुश्किल है सर, दोपहर शाम तक जब आ जाऊंगा समय से तो आ जाऊंगा सर। ये तो हम आज कर लेते हैं इसका। लिंक और को प्रोसेस जैसा बनाना पड़ेगा, ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम शेड्यूल।
Now, what is this microclimate which I was talking about? Soil temperature is inverse to the amount of herbage or mulch. If there is, if the mulching or the herbage within this orchard floor is more, if that's of more thickness, there will be lesser soil temperature within that orchard floor. It also, the plant mulch dampens the extremes of daily soil temperature. Particularly, this is particularly true in case of winter and harsh summer temperatures, and we get extremes of lower and higher temperatures. In that case, our plant mulch dampens these temperatures, and it reduces the minimum air temperature. It bare compacted wet soil raises minimum air temperature by as much as 2 degrees centigrade. And there are certain studies which show that dwarf rootstocks grow best at 14 degrees centigrade and up to 20 degrees centigrade for seedling rootstocks. So any soil temperature which is above this or below this will greatly impact the growth and development of fruit trees. Now, soil quality, which I was talking about, that any orchard floor management should be able to maintain this soil quality. It's basically comprises of the biological productivity of the soil, environmental quality, and it should promote plant and animal health. This is comprised of three things here: the chemical, biological, and physical. Any kind of orchard management practice should be able to improve all these three qualities of the soil. Now, here are some of the indicators whether our orchard floor management practice is improving our soil quality or it's decreasing. We have to consider these factors. whether if the orchard floor, any orchard floor management practice is increasing infiltration, aggregate stability, macrospore, aeration, biological activity, water holding capacity, or soil organic matter, and at the same time decreasing bulk density, runoff, erosion, nutrient losses, diseases, and production costs, then this can be one of the this can be a beneficial orchard floor management practice. Here are the things in orchard floor management which actually improve the soil quality. It has been found that legumes usually have best effect on soil quality, and we should avoid cultivation at any cost. By cultivation, we mean regular tillage and the cultivation of crops. Then followed by legumes, the grasses have most favorable effect on soil quality, and followed by mulch. The water retention, the water availability is higher in mulch, followed by bare soil. But we should remember here that even though in bare soil there will be lesser water availability, there will be no competition for the main fruit crop, but there will be more losses, evaporation losses within the orchard floor. And followed by minimal cultivation, grasses are considered to be one of the important competitors for soil moisture availability for the main crop. So in that case, if we grow grasses within an orchard floor, then we should go for continuous moving, which decreases the water use of the grasses and thereby making it available for the main crop. Now, this is an important factor to consider in orchard floor management. Carbon is the basis of soil organic matter, which affects the physical, chemical, and biological properties of the soil, as I have already mentioned them. It is one of the important energy sources for microbes, and based on that, this base of the soil food web, and whether the beneficial organisms are going to increase in the soil or not will a lot depend upon the carbon budgeting of the soil. Now, what are the important fronts of increasing the soil organic matter is we should avoid going for tillage, as I have already mentioned. Mulching will help in better organic matter content in soil, organic amendments, cool temperatures, and nutrient balance. And if we go for herbicides or the bare ground, if we keep the ground bare or we apply more of the herbicides, this will be having negative effect on the accumulation of soil organic matter within the orchard floor. Important inputs for carbon are leaves, roots, prunings, green manures, as I have already discussed, and tillage is one of the important factors which accelerates mineralization and thereby reducing the nutrient availability in the long run. Now, what are different orchard floor management methods which we are using for different fruit crops which we have been using or which we should use? It can be described into these clean cultivation, sod culture, sod mulch, use of herbicides, mulching, intercropping, cover crops, and clean strips. The sod culture, sod mulch, intercropping, and cover crops are those means through which we can grow forage or any other crop in the orchard floor. I will be describing them one by one. Here is the clean cultivation of one of the orchards where you can see that the orchard floor is completely bare. This is the bare orchard floor where there are no grasses grown. They have continuously they go for tillage continuously, thereby keeping this orchard floor bare. And with this, even though I will again repeat here, even though there will be no competition to the main crop for moisture availability, for nutrients, for other things, but there will be more leaching losses. There will be more leaching losses of nutrients. There will be more evaporation losses for soil moisture. So when we consider it as a whole, this is not one of the beneficial orchard floor management practice which we should recommend to our growers. Here is the sod culture. Here what we do is that we grow grasses in the interspaces between the trees where we do not go tillage or mulching. However, tree basins are kept weed free by mechanical tillage or by the application of herbicides. Here it has been found that some of the orchard grasses which have been found in different studies as suitable for growing in the orchards is like orchard grass, dactyls, tall fescue, timothy. These are some of the orchard grasses which are recommended for orchard floors. Here is one of the orchards where the sod culture has been done. You can see here that the tree basins have been tilled and kept weed free, while as the grasses are growing here in the interspaces. Here, I would like to mention that if there are mixing of red cloves and white cloves, they have been found to improve the soil quality to a great extent. Now, its advantages are it controls the soil erosion, as I have already mentioned. In better orchard floor management, should be able to control the soil erosion. It avoids the bruising of falling fruits. It maintains optimum soil moisture to ensure water and nutrient supply to the trees. It maintains the organic matter within the orchard floor. It provides better aeration to the roots. So it has all the qualities of being a good orchard floor management practice. Here is one of the studies which shows that how mood sort and straw mulch are better than using a glyphosate strip, herbicide strip, or tilling your land. They have better effects as compared to the others, and I have already explained these things. Here is, even though in this slide we can easily see that mood sort, straw mulch keeps the nutrients available at higher quantity as compared to the mood sort, but at the same time, this straw mulch has a higher mortality rate for the trees as compared to the mood sorts. Now, one of the important things I would like to mention here that most of the research papers in this orchard floor management practice, the intercropping, the sod culture, or any other type of orchard floor management practice, have not considered the land equivalent ratio in most of the studies, which should have been one of the important studies in all these things. Then sod mulch. In this method, grasses are allowed to grow in the entire area of the orchard. Tree basins are mulched. The only difference between sod culture and sod mulch is that the tree basins here are mulched with straw instead of tilling. We do not go for tilling here for the tree basins. We go for straw mulching or with any other kind of mulching. Like this is here, the tree basins have been mulched here, and there's no tilling of this tree basin. Also, the grasses are maintained in here in the interspaces of the trees. It's most suitable for orchards on a slope having greater gradient. I would like to mention here that sod culture, which we have discussed earlier, is suitable for the slopes up to 10% slope with a 10% gradient, while as this sod mulch is suitable for those slopes which have a greater gradient. This is highly effective for controlling soil erosion and conserves moisture and controls weeds in the tree basins. It improves the fruit coloration and enhances the fruit maturity. At the same time, there is a better temperature regulation and better nutrient availability within the orchard floor. This is a wood chip mulch which has been used. This is shredded paper mulch which has been used on the tree basins and there has not been any kind of tillage which has been done on this. This is the polythene mulch and hay mulch. Here we should remember that any kind of hay mulch or any kind of straw mulch should be of at least around 10 centimeter thickness, and the black polythene mulch which we use are usually of 200 micron thickness. Then intercropping for production of forage crops. As we already know that intercropping is one of the important means for sustainable orchard production. As I have already discussed that for any kind of sustainability, we need to have diversity in our orchards. And for that, intercropping as well as cover cropping becomes very important for orchard floor management practice. This is some of the intercroppings which have been done. And how should we decide what kind of intercrop we should use? It will be decided whether the orchard floor is near to the cities or towns, whether this intercrop is well adapted to the environmental conditions, what kind of water requirement is there for intercrop. We should know here that the water requirement of the intercrop and the main crop should around coincide. If the water requirement of intercrop is more, then there will be deleterious effect on the main crop because of providing more water to the intercrops. And similarly, if it is less, again, this will impact the main crop. For young orchards plants which require abundant sunlight can be selected, while as for old orchards, we can select those crops which are shade loving. Another important factor is we have to consider the developmental period of main crop and the intercrop. If the main crop and the intercrop developmental period coincide, then there will be problems in harvesting of the main crop and other things. Another important factor, perennial or exhaustive crops should be discouraged. Here in apple orchards, some of the apple orchards, when they grow maize is considered as one of the important exhaustive crops, and it greatly impacts the growth of the main crop. So we should avoid growing exhaustive crops. Again, we should avoid growing tall crops which increase the humidity within the orchard, which have excessive growth, and with increasing humidity, increasing temperature, there will be more diseases. Certain disease and pest problems are enhanced by growing 2 or more crops together because they become an alternate host to some of the disease and pests which are for the main crop. Vegetables that have their roots within 25 centimeter depth are considered good for intercropping. It is preferable to take leguminous crops for cover cropping. Now, advantages, I have already discussed these. Here are some of the important intercroppings in different fruit crops. Another important study which says that winter active lucerne cultivars help harvest lucerne throughout the year on apple orchards and is considered as one of the important intercrops for apple in many areas of the world. Here you can see that lucerne is considered as one of the important leguminous fodder crops that provides hay, good quality hay for winter feeding, and the best combination for high crop yield, soil organic carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus is the adoption of annual LA crops, minimum tillage, and organic fertilization. This is one of the studies. This is the meta-analysis of around 186 research papers which has been done by some of the scientists, and they have came to the conclusion. They have used different fruit crops were used by different growers, like the grapevines were used, peaches were there, almond, olive, and chestnut, and some other fruit crops. And there were certain grasses which were studied there in different papers, grasses, and some aromatic plants like lavender, and some other crops also. And they actually divided their study into they divided the intercropping pattern into 2 parts here. One was called as annual cropping, the another was called as perennial cropping. The perennial cropping comprised of all the grasses which were grown there throughout the year, while as in case of annual cropping, a cover crop was used which was planted in 1 month and harvested after some time. When it was mature, it was harvested or it was tilled into the field in different studies. So here in case of tillage, they used no tillage and minimum tillage, and in case of organic cultivation, they used this fertilization, they used organic cultivation and this conventional fertilization. And what they observed after meta-analysis of these around 186 papers is that they found that permanent cropping usually enhances the soil organic carbon over the conventional management systems. Annual cropping was also found better in 76% of the cases as compared to the conventional management methods. Again, no tillage and minimum tillage had better effects on soil organic carbon. Fertilization with organic fertilizers was again found better in enhancing the soil organic carbon. Similar trends were found in nitrogen over conventional management practices. You can see again here the permanent cropping system in 92% of the cases had a favorable effect on soil nitrogen availability, while as annual cropping in 71% of the cases had better nitrogen availability. Similarly, tillage, in case of no tillage, 71% cases have better effect, while as in minimum tillage, 100%. The organic fertilization, 82% of the studied papers had a better impact on nitrogen over a period of time. Here is the carbon sequestration rate, which was observed again better in intercropping with permanent intercrops in 75% of the cases, and annual cropping with 60% of the papers. This is the crop yield over conventional management systems. Here you can again see that crop yields were better in permanent cropping system over 42% cases, and annual cropping with 45% of the cases. Same results were found with tillage and the organic fertilization. One of the important studies of this meta-analysis was again that there was no study on land equivalent ratio of most of these studies. Here, this is one of the interesting studies here, that how the weed growth is impact the yield, how the weed-free growth area impacts the yield of main crop. Here you can see that 22% weed growth, weed-free area had a better effect, even the 65% of the weed-free area. So this can give us a clue how we can go for the production of forages within this crop. Again, there is another study, a 5-year study, which shows that how different orchard floor management practices, the straw mulch, the live mulch, and the chemically growth regulated sod mulch had impacted the nitrogen content, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, and magnesium content within the orchard floor. And most of the studies have found that all the management practices are better than the soil which is tilled or which is used with herbicides. Now, before going for any kind of the intercrop, any kind of the forage crop, we have to consider an integrated approach for maintaining that crop. Here is one of the study which shows that how pruning length impacts the dry forage content. You can see that this is the pruning length from the base, that when they cut, when they pruned the bare plant at 20 centimeter length, they found better results in this, that there was better dry forage content as well as the crude protein content. Again, here same, they have observed that the cost benefit ratio was more in, even though there was better forage content in 20 centimeter length, but the cost benefit ratio was more in 40 centimeter length when we kept it as 40 centimeter length. So most of the studies should concentrate upon these kind of studies, where we should go for an integrated study like the canopy management of the fruit crop, at the same time the orchard floor management. This is some of the intercrops which again corroborate with the earlier meta-analysis of 186 papers, which shows that here the annual cropping system has a better effect on all the parameters studied. These are the similar studies which tell us how annual cropping system helps us in better yield as well as fruit color, while the percentage of fruit color in case of apple was more in grass cover. This is an important study. This was carried out on Prima and Vanda. These are considered as two scab resistant varieties, and you can see here the scab breakdown in case of apple scab in case of bare orchards. Even though these are scab resistant varieties, all the orchard floor management have actually resulted in the scab breakdown. They are monogenic scab resistant varieties, so they have resulted in the breakdown of the scab. If we go for any kind of orchard floor management, we have to consider also this factor, that our varieties should be polygenic in resistance. This is one of the important diseases in apple, which is a repellant disease. Like this is an orchard where there is a repellant disease, while this is a newly planted orchard. You can see the difference in the growth of the two orchards. And usually when we keep our orchard floor bare, there is a build of microorganisms in those orchards. You can see here how over the 5 years, these microorganisms have grown in their number, in their percentage with the time, and which actually are one of the important factors which result in replant diseases in many crops. And this is how in an replant block their root growth gets affected. And we can, to a great extent, it has been found that this replant disease can also be controlled to a great extent by using cover crops or different intercrops. Here is the growth of Gala apple seedlings in cultivar orchard. Replant soil following planting with different wheat cultivars. You can see that in control there is very less growth, while as in case of others, there has been a significant growth. This shows how important a cover crop or a forage crop within the orchard floor can be. Now I will skip these mulching trials because of the lesser availability of time with me. I will straightway move to now the pest reduction with the cover crops. You can see that here the effect of moving on insect fauna in pairs. You can see that there are certain insects which goes on increasing when there is no moving. When there is moving of the orchard floor, when there is no moving, these are reduced. While as these beneficial insects like parasitoids, others, they are more in unmoved, where the grass is kept unmoved. Similar effects have been found here in others. Now, what are the important? I will conclude with these two slides. There are certain knowledge gaps or researchable issues in this, like we have no idea about the pest ecology complex in this orchard floor. What are the pest nutrient interactions? What is the manipulation of rhizosphere nutrient flow through the orchard? And there are no long-term studies on intercropping, cover cropping, which would have lasted for more than 5 years. There are certain researchable issues which I feel should be done at the earliest. We should know that how does orchard floor management impact the habitat development and destruction of beneficial insects and the predators. Another thing which we have to understand is
Hello, Dr. Roof. Is he is he here, or is Dr. Roof audible? Hello? Hello? I think you got disconnected.
He is muted there.
Sir, can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, he got disconnected.
Dr. Roof, can you unmute yourself? मेरा मेरा आपको फोन पता नहीं कहाँ पे दो There has been some disconnection at the resource person's end. He's going to join via phone. It will be few minutes. Welcome back, sir. Hello, Dr. Roof. Welcome back. Please unmute yourself. Can you unmute yourself? Yeah, please. Hello? Please say something. Hello? Dr. Roof.
Okay, I have unmuted myself. I'm sorry that because of some problems in internet connection here. Am I audible now? Yes, I'm here. I'm listening to you.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Am I audible?
You are audible, sir. Sir, you were on your last slide. Let us conclude the session. Hello? Sir, your voice is not audible. In any case, sir, I think it was a wonderful session, sir. And on behalf of the NADCL as well as IGFRI, and on behalf of the participants, I would like to thank you for such a wonderful presentation. And since there is some internet issue at your end, and if it is not possible for you to join via voice, let's consider this session concluded. And I would like to say thank you from all of our part.
You are not audible.
Am I audible now?
Yes, yes, yes. Sir. I think this session may be considered concluded. Why? Because there is some internet issue at the resource person level, and he was nearly at the conclusion of his presentation. We'd all like to thank him on the wonderful presentation he presented us with from part of the NADCL, IGFRI, and on behalf of participants. Thank you, sir. If you are hearing us, please let us conclude this session, and this session is over, sir. Participants, please join the second session, which is about to start. I'll be sharing the link in the Google in the groups. Thank you.